check. 1, 2, 3, and 4. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We have a very interesting video that we are going to be discussing for today's topic. This is something that is so important to understand and to learn a lot more about, that is extremely taboo from mainstream consciousness and mainstream awareness. But I'm going to be breaking it down. These are some of the subjects that are most rejected and most resisted by, once again, the collective consciousness. I'm going to be explaining this in a practical way so that you can actually understand what these things mean in modern times, that is going to support you through your evolutionary process and create room to have you give you a deeper understanding of yourself in relationship to all other people around you and in relationship to the universe at large. This is going to be a very liberating educational video if you can actually resonate with and follow through on some of the things that it is that I'm teaching and trying to, create an awareness on. Okay? This is valuable. We're going to be speaking about the underworld, right? So a lot of people refer to this as hell. What exactly is the underworld? What exactly is hell? And then what exactly is the relationship between hell, the underworld, and death itself? Why is this something that is so taboo in modern times? Why is it so demonized and so spoken about in a way as if this is wrong or as if this is bad and potentially unhealthy? These are the things that we're going to be discussing in today's video. So if you would like to learn a lot more on this specific subject in regards to what actually is the underworld, are you going to be going into hell? Are you going to die and then experience hell? How do these things combine together and work together? Once again, if this is something that you are interested in learning a lot more about, then I highly recommend that you stay tuned for the rest of this video, and I will simply see you on the other side. Okay, so before we get started, let me give a little bit of an introduction on who I am, just so that you know who you're getting this information from, which I think is something that is absolutely valuable to have some context to. My name is Jeremiah Schwartz. Welcome in if you're new to my channel. I'm a professional occultist who is fully initiated in the entirety of the Kabbalistic tree. I'm studied when it comes to the 22 major arcana of the tarot deck, studied when it comes to planetary energies that relates to astrology. And I'm also very aware of trauma and its relationship to the nervous system. Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's move into exactly what it is that we are speaking about today. So we are talking about what is the underworld and what is hell, and then what is the relationship between the underworld, hell, and death itself. So the first thing that I'd like to say with this subject is that we live in a modern time that creates a lot of dualistic perspectives on these types of spiritual things here, where you have heaven and then you have hell. You have life and then you have death. And a lot of the times it is hell and it is the underworld and death that is what is mostly being demonized in sort of a dualistic type of way. So we look at death and we look at hell, and then we connect to this bad, evil, wrong, avoid, get away from, escape from, resist, repress. When in reality, this is only one polarity between the bigger picture of everything else that's going on, which means there should be a healthy balance between these two polarities, between hell and heaven, positive and negative, life and death, etc. So, because of this, in a lot of especially religious indoctrination, there's a lot of people that associate hell and death with things that they're actually not with. They associate these things with things that they don't actually represent. So, in other words, people have an idea that if they die and they are a sinner, and then if they're not saved by Christ, for an example, that after death they might go to hell. You may not have entrance into the golden gates of heaven because you didn't accept Christ into your consciousness as your Lord and your Savior. So, this is a very inverted way of understanding what hell or the underworld actually means from a practical lens and how you can better work with this inside of yourself. So, what that basically sets someone up to do, if they have that religious belief system for the most part, is they now have a way to sort of repress and demonize certain aspects of self that would be connected to the underworld or hell. And they get to sort of bypass that or keep that suppressed by saying, oh, I'm saved by Christ, so now I get to move into heaven just because I made a decision to accept that energy into myself as Lord and Savior. But if you're being honest with yourself, even if you're a Christian right now listening to this, or any type of religious practitioner or anything in that nature, which, there's no judgment on any of that stuff. You do what you want to do. You do what you feel like is in your best interest. But if you are that type of person, you're probably still experiencing a pretty hard time in life overall in general, just because that is largely the nature of humanity right now. A lot of people doesn't matter really what religious belief system that you have, people are struggling and people are having a hard time understanding what's going on within themselves and how they fit into the world in general. Like, how do you uniquely fit in amongst everyone else that's here? And if you're being honest with yourself, are you actually happy? Are you satisfied with where you're at? Do you feel like things are okay? Do you feel like things are good? Or are you always on guard? Are you always seeing threats around you? Are you always feeling like you're not safe? Are you feeling depressed? Are you feeling anxious? Are you feeling abandoned? Are you feeling lonely? All of these things. Like, be honest with yourself. In the first place that we want to start is realizing this is natural. As human beings living on our planet during this time frame, there's a lot of things that are happening that are really uncomfortable to understand. And when it comes to understanding hell, we could almost go as far as saying we're living in hell right now as a collective consciousness. Now, what I really want to do, though, is I want to erase the demonization from the word hell. So I don't want you to attribute hell or the underworld to Satan's domain and that it's ruled by this evil, dark energy that's trying to take your soul and keep you in hell. I want you to see hell as actually an aspect of the world, but also an aspect of yourself that is uncomfortable and does carry a lot of negative energies within it, but is also most likely being repressed by you at the same time. And when I say repressed, I mean you are resisting it and you are avoiding it and you're using coping to try to get away from it. And you're creating certain belief systems and ideologies to further keep that at bay. So in reality, just jumping out the gate, hell is something that every single one of us has inside of us right now as we're listening to this. Every single person has their own underworld. So think about that. Think about the concept of an iceberg and how at the surface of the iceberg, you can see the ice, but then underneath of it, that ice can go very, very deep into the water, right? So underworld is basically what is under the surface of all of these different filters and aspects of ourself that we sort of create to try to make sense out of who we are and what we're here doing. Now, when it comes to the sense of self and all these different parts of ourself that try to function in society, a lot of this is going to be driven by trauma from the past. So certain types of traumas and traumatic experiences that we've been through largely shapes our protective mechanisms and our identifications and our attachments to certain types of things. But at that deeper core level, we still have emotions and sensations and memories, as well as wounded parts of us that are vulnerable, that are still existing within our bodies. And that is what is the underworld. So these are the things that are existing within the unconscious, or we could even say the subconscious. These are the things that are manifesting in our daily lives, coming through a plane that we're not necessarily fully in control of, but rather we want to become an observer of so we can better work with it rather than resist it and try to keep it down or keep it at bay. So everyone has their own hell. They have their own underworld, and it is related to trauma. It's related to emotions like sadness, fear, anxiety, loneliness, depression, and the whole gambit that are still in your nervous system from those traumas, as well as the memories from those traumatic experiences and time frames. That is your own hell. Is that a wrong thing or is that a bad thing? Not at all. This is something that's very natural and normal to be a human. We all experience trauma. It's literally what we signed up for. We came here to incarnate, to experience hell and heaven, to experience negative and positive energies, to further understand what we really are in regards to the remembrance of being connected to all things and being an aspect of that source consciousness. So we all have a hell, and the hell is not evil. It's just something that needs to be faced and embraced in order to properly integrate. And the more acceptance that we can have for going into our personal hell, the more that hell will naturally start to transmute into a personal heaven. And there are layers to this process throughout the entire incarnation experience, and it happens in cycles. So there are going to be death cycles followed by rebirth cycles, going into different layers of the personal underworld to then shift that into a personal heaven. And that process goes on and on throughout the entire incarnation experience. And massive amounts of refinement takes place in regards to the true foundations of self-awareness and source energy connection. So basically what this means is that the collective consciousness, everyone has their own traumas. Most of us are wired to try to resist these things and stay away from these things. So that collective hell then projects itself into the mass collective consciousness, which then means we start experiencing hell on earth because it is a manifestation of people running away from themselves and being in avoidance to and resisting themselves. So all of those negative repressed energies that's inside of the human are now projecting externally, unconsciously into the collective. So everyone is just experiencing a bunch of projections that are taking place of negative projections that are unconscious for most people. Now, of course, as you're developing more of a self-awareness and you're allowing yourself to work with your own repressed traumas and emotions and sensations and wounded parts, as you're embracing your own hell, that resonance starts to change for you. So you're no longer a victim getting projected on. You're now maneuvering through that deeper unconscious space, using your external reality as a reflection to understand what's going on inside of you. So there's a deeper acceptance that happens there, and it no longer puts you in a position where you are being attacked or you are being victimized, but you start maneuvering through these things with wisdom and with understanding, and you start healing. That then drastically changes your resonance to no longer attract this unhealthy negative energy that most people find themselves stuck within because they don't really understand how to embrace themselves and go through this healing process. So the relationship to hell in the underworld and death is the simple understanding that when we go into our hell, our own personal hell, with intentions to have acceptance there and to do deeper shadow work, that death energy is prominent in hell. So death is always going to be associated with hell because death is simply dissolving. It is disillusioning. It's dissolving. So when we go into hell, we are having that acceptance for these, once again, aspects of ourself that oftentimes are not the most comfortable. And as we do that, we're now naturally inviting in a lot of death energy, dissolving energies that comes simply from a deep surrender and a deep letting go. So all of those aspects of ourself where we are attached to certain things, beliefs, relationships, identities, states of being, environments, etc., titles, all of those things that we're attached to then start a process of dissolving through the natural death energy that comes into our life when we embrace our personal hell. Right? So this is kind of like the esoteric way to look at it. As we go into our own hell, we initiate the death current to start dissolving these things that we can surrender to and then become one with death. From the practical lens, we are working with unhealed traumas that are still existing in the nervous system, and we're revisiting repressed emotions, memories, and sensations that is connected to wounded, fragmented parts of us that still exist in the past. And as we're experiencing these dense, charged energies with acceptance by feeling them, we are naturally having to let go and dissolve other types of attachments that we have that are trying to keep us in a certain state of being that is no longer authentic to what we're actually experiencing and what we're actually feeling. So we're having to surrender and let go of unhealthy coping mechanisms that are keeping us from fully letting go to be able to fully experience what we need to experience under the surface at that emotional integration level. That is the practical lens of what's going on. But this is hell. This is what it means to embrace and embody your own hell and then become one with death as death naturally, dissolving naturally starts to come in when we have acceptance for this process. So the pain and the suffering that occurs for most people is the resistance to these concepts that it is that I'm talking about right now. So there is a difference between the pain of allowing yourself acceptance to go into things that you need to go into to feel those things and to be with those things and heal those things. Yes, that can be uncomfortable and it can be painful, but the pain is very different than actually resisting those things, trying to stay away from them or trying to keep those things repressed and always having to fight against it to keep yourself above water rather than going into the water and learning how to swim in that way. So that these two types of pains are very different types of pains. One of them has the opportunity to lessen over time and integrate and heal at a deep level, whereas the other one is a continuous resistance and avoidance that only amplifies as time goes on. The pain gets worse. So one of these pains, the pain expands, the other one, it shrinks and it integrates through acceptance. All right. So, with what I'm saying, this is valuable information to have so that you don't allow all of this religious programming and indoctrination to fool you to think that hell is this realm that exists after death that you're going to go to if you don't accept a certain type of belief system or ideology or something as your savior. That's not at all what this is. Heaven and hell are existing right now on this planet Earth. Heaven and life is the contrast to hell and death. So you have hell and death inside of you, just as you have heaven and life. And the more you can accept the process of death and hell and be willing to go there within yourself and revisit these things that are buried and repressed in your nervous system, and be willing to dissolve and surrender and let go of all these aspects of yourself that try to get out of it, try to run away and resist this from happening, that is going to allow you to have that deep acceptance for the shadow work process, that the integration of these repressed energies. And naturally from that, you will be turning this hell and this death energy into a inner heaven where there is new life. This is where your life starts to change drastically, once again, at a nervous system level. Because, of course, when things are repressed in the nervous system, that affects what you resonate with at that energetic level. So when you go into it to be with it and accept that for what it is, you integrate those wounds that no longer carry that negative resonance in your nervous system the way that it once did. So now your nervous system is resonating differently because you've integrated that. And now you can attract healthier, more so positive experiences into your life naturally. It's not something you have to control. It's not something you have to think about. It just naturally will occur as you honor the process. And you will eventually have a birthing of a new sense of self, a new understanding of how you are and how you interact with the world around you. And that feels good. And then you go back into shadow again. You go back into your own hell and you go through the death phase and you surrender and you let go. And this cyclical process once again takes place throughout the entire life journey. So that is really what it is that I wanted to talk about in this today's video. I want you to have that practical, but also spiritual understanding of what the underworld is and of what hell is. It's not Satan's realm that you go to after death where your soul is damned. That's not real. None of that is real. Karma is real. Cause and effect is real. If you're not honoring your process of working with your deeper unconscious, when you pass away, you're going to have to see a lot of those things that you were in resistance to so that you can learn those lessons so that when you decide to reincarnate again, you're better set up for success. That's real. So why not do the work now? Why not honor your process now and not have to create ideologies or follow belief systems that keep you from facing yourself? How about we choose a process to honor what it is that we need to and face what it is that we need to, rather than bypassing that and escaping that? And then ask yourself that question: why do you think most of these systems of indoctrination support bypassing and support resisting yourself? You may be aware of it or you may not be aware of it, but be open-minded enough to ask yourself that question. Why would they support that? Maybe they would want you to be a better consumer. Maybe they want to have more control over you. Maybe they reflect an aspect of you that is unwilling to face yourself and wants to be controlled, wants to be manipulated, right? Because these things don't happen for no reason. There's no evil that exists on our planet. Things are there for a reason, to teach us lessons about what it is that we need to see. And you are responsible for what you're resonating with, as well as the decisions that you make to change your resonance. And I'm telling you some of the ideologies that are key to understand to allow yourself to heal at a much deeper level so that you don't have to walk through everyday life with this fear of hell and the devil and Satan and fear of death. You can actually understand it exists within you at all times, both heaven and hell, death and life. And the more you can accept death and hell just as much as you're willing to accept heaven and life, the more you're going to be better off in regards to your process of integration. Because you can be more willing to face your shadow and face those unconscious aspects of yourself that are creating everything in your daily life experience. So if you're not happy with your life and you feel like the world is against you and you feel like things aren't working out, that is direct signs there is work to be done with your deeper unconscious. You have to face things and be with things and find acceptance for who you actually are, and stop putting on a facade or stop putting on a mask and trying to change who you are to be a certain way for the world around you. Right? You have to start letting go of some of that control of thinking that you need that for some sort of security, when in reality it's a false security. It is a false light. It is a false sense of self that you're attached to out of fear of letting it go and actually sinking into where you need to go within yourself, and being willing to be raw and honest enough to feel those feelings and those sensations and visit those uncomfortable memories so that they can heal and you can start to emerge a new understanding of life itself with a core knowing that all of it is truly rooted in the no thing. So from darkness, there was light. From no thing, there was a thing. And then you get to also understand that even no thing is technically still a thing. There's still a pattern there, even though it can seem like chaos. But this is a lot of information. So with today's video, that is what I wanted to discuss. So if you got value from this, thumbs up, hit the thumbs up button, drop down in the comment section and let me know how you resonate with this. Let me know if there's anything that you learn from this and share your own personal perspectives. I would love to hear that from you. Okay. Hit the notification bell and get notified whenever I post this content, because it's extremely valuable content that you do not want to be missing out on. And I post it intuitively. So there's many times where I'll be posting things that are exactly what you need to hear when you need to hear it. Take advantage of it. Subscribe to my YouTube channel below. By subscribing, you are further energetically linking into everything that I'm doing here. So subscribe to my channel and take advantage of that. Also, if you have any friends or family or social media platforms that would get value from this content, you have my full encouragement to copy and paste this link and send it to those people. Send it to someone. Okay? Now, I'm going to take your awareness to the literal most important link within the entire description itself. This is the first link at the very bottom, and this is going to be my Patreon. Now, on my Patreon, I have over 260 plus exclusive videos that's organized in different collection sections on everything that you possibly need to know. Occult education, Kabbalah initiation education, the Tree of Life, Death, ritual practices I'm performing on camera and teaching you how to do. I have an entire magic training course that's on there. Okay. Education on nervous system regulation and creating a healthy foundation for yourself to support it. More education on trauma, even with trauma's relationship to the occult and spirituality and things in that nature. All of that stuff is on the Patreon. There is over 1,040 plus members that are currently signed up for the Patreon. That speaks for itself. It is continuing to grow and continuing to thrive, and there is tons of valuable stuff that is over there. So I encourage you to take advantage of it. Tier 3 and 4 gives you access to an extremely unique service. And this is a ritual service that I offer. And it's the only ritual service that I offer in general. And it's for my inner collective consciousness. And the ritual is called the Universe B Vampire Ritual. This is a ritual service where I transfer my energy field to you as the participant to support you through some of the deepest processes of emotional integration in regards to some of these repressed energies existing in your nervous system. So, this is some of the deepest forms of shadow work that you can go through. And I support you through that process through this ritual. So, everything that I've done personally in my life experience and with all these different occult initiations I've been through, I can transfer that energetically to you as the participant to help prepare you and support you through your journey as well. I also cause some significant changes to the energy body so that as you merge more with your shadow and find comfort there, you can actually start working with dark energy as well as chaos in a much more effective way. You can start integrating it much more effortlessly to the point where you can actually pull out someone's false self from them, integrate that into your own potential because that is a charged energy there, and you can turn it into your own evolutionary potential and power while leaving that person in a position where they now have to face themselves and go through their process. And of course, the more refined you get with this process, you can also guide people through their understandings of working with their unconscious as well. Okay. So if this is something that you're interested in, definitely consider it. It is the first link in that YouTube video description. The ritual service is performed on the 29th of every single month that has one. The deadline to sign up will always be the day before, so the 28th. Okay. There are over 350 active members every single month that are taking advantage of this ritual service, and it's just continuing to grow as time goes on. So if you're interested in this, look into it. Is the first link below. Now at the second link below, this is where you can book a call with me, a one-on-one call, or a mentorship. This is one of the most intimate ways to personally work with me, one-on-one. We will go into building a healthy foundation for you and whatever that looks like for you specifically. We're going to go into repressed emotions. We're going to be healing trauma. And as we really start to solidify your foundation, then once that's in place, we can start talking about occult initiation if that's also something that you're interested in. So if you're looking for some form of support through that journey of healing these deeper wounds within self and having more understanding of what's going on and doing that with someone who understands the process, this is what I would recommend for you. So definitely consider it. It's the second link below. Now, also in the same second link, you have an option to book a tarot card reading with Alexia. She's a very, very gifted and intuitive tarot card reader that can tell you exactly what you need to know in the present moment as well as the near future in relationship to the internal processes that you're currently going through and how to better merge into those in a healthy way. How you can expect some of those internal things to then manifest externally. She can help to give a lot of insight on these factors, and she also connects it back to the Kabbalistic tree to give you even more perspective on what's taking place. So if you're interested, second link below. Now at the third link below, this is the LUCIFERS Foundation course. This gives you everything you need to know in 11 modules you'll have for the rest of your life to develop a healthy relationship with the energy that is known as Lucifer. Tons of people have purchased this course. There's tons of valuable feedback and people are continuing to buy it because it is very valuable. If you're interested in this, check it out. Is the third link below. Now at the fourth link, this is the YouTube memberships. If you want to join the Universal Mastery family, I would love to have you. Your name's going to appear as green. You're going to get a little badge next to your name, and it's super fun to have you popping in the live streams and just commenting on the YouTube videos to see that you're a member and having a group of people that are like-minded individuals and things of that nature. It's so fun. So definitely look into that. That's the fourth link below. Now in the final link, this would be the fifth link. This is my book recommendations for you. This is a 4 ebook bundle that you gain immediate access to that gives you all the fundamental knowledge that you need to have, that you can have as tools on your tool belt throughout your entire initiatory process or your entire occult self-development journey. It gives you everything you need there. Okay, very valuable stuff. Definitely consider it. And it's a very really good deal for this 4 ebook bundle only being sold at $129 for 4 ebooks that has all that valuable stuff in it. Okay, so if you're interested, 5th link below. With that being said, this is going to wrap it up. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate all of you very, very much. And I hope you all have an amazing rest of the day or night, wherever you are. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.